and false allegations. Is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting who is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency or of the federal, state, county, city, township agency present? Is there a response to the Bivens decision for the first time? This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting who is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the second time? This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting who is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Is there a response to the Bivens decision for the third time? Anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here, must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premises. And hearing no declarations of the Bivens decision, I'll pass the meeting back to you, Tom.
All right, thank you, John. So I'm Tom Phillips, and this is the Connecticut General Assembly meeting. So I want to welcome everyone to the Connecticut General Assembly meeting. Your land and soil jurisdiction, where you and I are restoring our birthright government, a Republican form of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And I want to thank each and every one of you for stepping forward to voluntarily serve our fellow Connecticuters. So with that little preamble over, I'm sorry I didn't send out an agenda. I don't have a big list of things to go through, but Kimberly did say that she wanted to recount her recent victory. So I think without further ado, I'll turn it over to Kim and let's listen to her success.
Thank you. I wanted to share positive news to everyone, and I'm looking for, I know I'm going to have questions about some of this, how to do it. So I will continue looking for the links I want to drop in the chat for you guys. But get my letter. I received happy mail this week. I got a letter from a credit card company that I MOSI'd, Mutual Offset Credit Exemption Exchange process, where you get a true bill from the company and you do this process of writing on it, basically to tell them to go get the money from your, it's not your Social Security account, but it's the account that your straw man is trying to say this in a way that's not confusing and that I can help them. I don't even understand it myself really sometimes, but you basically tell the IRS to pay the people through your, it's actually an EIN number if you use your Social Security number without the dashes. That makes you the creditor in charge of the account. Where all the money is that they take or make off of your straw man account. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I tried it. I've tried it with several bills. This is 2021 that I did this, and I finally got a letter this week that said it's basically a 1099-C, USAA Federal Savings Bank, date of event 9/30/2021, amount almost $18,000, cancellation of debt. Description, credit card. The debtor's TIN, ending in my 4 social number. Basically, it reads as, we are so generous that we've canceled your debt, but you have to, it says on here that you have to claim it as income on your next tax filing. Oh, that's not happening. But, so they kind of make it a word salad, but basically the debt has been canceled. Yay! Must
That's
be work.
awesome.
It is. I squealed, actually, I think, when I read it. I was like, oh my gosh. And
I guess 3.
Go ahead. 3 years.
I guess 3 years storm, right? Only took 3 years.
It's crazy. But I will say, you guys, I think it's important to share with everybody. My process going through fear in this whole thing is probably really common, or at least fear is common. So I just want to say that I worked really hard. Whenever fear came up about this situation, 'cause you hear a lot of stuff, I would always just work on a mantra, everything works out for me. I've tapped into a few books and so on to help me, because it's not easy. And just to kind of walk myself through the fear, because you're not going to get anywhere being in fear. And when you listen to Anna talk about the things that she knows and things she's trying to teach us, she has that air about her where she's like, there's no fear in that woman. And so I feel like that has a lot to do with what you attract as an outcome in these things. And so I just want to throw that out there, that if you get scared in any part of this journey, figure out a way to make that your trigger to tell yourself something positive immediately about that specific thing. Exactly what you're fearful of, flip it and talk yourself into something positive about that. Everything works out for me, or I'm open to abundance, or whatever it is that it takes. I just think that's important to note here, because I did go through some fear. So I hope that helps somebody, and I hope that everyone is uplifted by someone having some success in this. I yield.
Congratulations.
So if anybody's interested and doesn't know what I'm talking about, MOSI, and hasn't tried it, I'll try to find. I did this before. Utah State Assembly put out a phenomenal PowerPoint presentation on the whole process. I'm actually processing another debt who sent me to collections, and there's 3 parts. The notice and demand, notice of fault, and then the hold on, bear with me. I don't want to say the wrong thing. It's right here in front of me. Then the notice of self-executing default judgment process. And they're not terribly unlike each other. There's just a few different words that say, this is your notice and demand. You flip it on them, because they're frauding you. So you flip the script on them. You're addressing the CEO directly as a man or a woman, and they have a certain amount of time to get back to you. When and if they do, then you pick apart what they sent you, because they never will give you the original document with your wet signature on it, and that's what they have to do. And then you just notice, you send them a default notice. You have, this is what I sent you before. You defaulted, just letting you know. And then when that is over, you give them, I think 10 more days or something, maybe 5. And then you send them their, the judgment, as a physical man or woman, you're saying, this is due process. I'm standing in honor, and now we're done. I've decided, I did all the things, and now we're done. So the process is pretty simple. It's a 1-page letter. And I'm going to try to find the link to the Utah, I think it's YouTube, that Utah State Nationals is on, and that woman is doing a great job educating everybody how to do the process properly. And she points out every single reason why she puts every single sentence. And there's links, and there's examples, and I just downloaded it to my computer, and I printed it out so I'd have it handy, and I could look at it and make sure what I'm looking at. Oh, maybe I can actually drop the link to what I have in my computer. So I yield, and I will put what I can find in the chat, okay?
So Kimberly, I have a question then. This is the results of your MOSI, which I haven't done any of that yet. But so this is different from the numbers that we submitted to POSCA, right? For debt,
It is. The reason why it is in this case is because I had already offset that, so I wouldn't include it in what we submitted to POSCA.
Okay.
I just submitted my mortgage because my name is on it, and one other debt. That's the one I'm most seeing right now because I'm not waiting around.
Okay.
Cool.
Any other questions for Kim?
Yes. So you said this was a debt that you did not submit to the thing, that we gave to.
Yeah, this was in 2021. That's how long it took.
You did this process back then?
Mm-hmm.
So was this the mochis that we were all doing kind of? So I did a bunch of them, but I stopped.
I did too. This is, so, I'm actually confusing 2 different processes. I'm sorry, I apologize. The MOSI is where you basically take their bill and you make it a check.
Yes.
Right? And then this other way is notices of default, of fraud, where you call them out on the fact that they contracted with you fraudulently and unlawfully, illegally, really. They didn't get your wet ink signature on anything. So, and they're frauding you. They're pretending they're giving you credit or money, and they're not. And then you're paying back. It's just craziness. It's not right. And so that's where the notice and demand process comes in. If you don't want to do the MOSI because it's not working, you can do the notice and demand method where it's 3 letters. You've heard Anna talk about it, 3 letters. Yeah. I apologize. I'm mixing up
No, that's okay.
different processes, but
I thought this
yeah.
was a mochi that you had already sent in, and all of a sudden you got, no.
Well, no, it wasn't all of a sudden, but it was a mochi.
It wasn't.
It was
a three-letter, and this
was a mochi, and it took 3 years.
Oh, so it was initially the mochi, like with the
This
bill.
was a mochi. Mhm.
So then you.
No, I'm trying to think. Did I yeah, I did all. I'd actually on this. Oh gosh, it was so long ago. I did both. I sent them the mochi process with the true bill and the wrote it out as a check back to them,
Right.
based on my social security number, right? And then they kept bothering me. So then I went to notices. That's what happened. I did both on that one.
They kept bothering you. They kept sending you bills.
Yeah, they didn't, but they sent me to collection. So collection agencies kept.
Okay, right. Nothing to do, right. So, right.
Yeah.
I got no response, so of course I just kept paying my bills because we were told do not pay the bills because.
Right.
Right.
In my case, I couldn't do it. It was right after COVID, and they were all nicey nice while COVID was going on, and then
after that, yeah.
When everybody said, "Okay, we're done with that. We're moving on," and I was like, "Great. Well, my business is completely destroyed, so thanks. And you can't get blood from a stone." So I dug into this Hail Mary, and we're going to say another question?
Yeah, I was going to, because I jumped in just a tad late. So what kind of a bill was this? Just curiosity.
This was a credit card for $18,000.
Okay.
USAA, Federal Savings Bank.
So they paid you. Now you're done.
Well, that's the funny thing. They actually do feel like they paid me.
Well, you know what I mean.
But yeah, they canceled the debt. But they in the letter they're all, we canceled your debt, and you have to. Don't forget it's a 1099, so you have to claim it as income on your income tax. So, okay, I'll get right on that. Isn't that slimy?
Well, that's what you're dealing with. They just, that's their.
You're exactly right.
Right.
Yep.
So congratulations.
Yeah, they won't get out. They won't give up their lane, boy. Ooh, no. I mean, they did this because I said, I'm calling you out. I know what you're doing, and this is why it's wrong. And yet they still, I mean, of course, because that's what evil does. They don't ever concede,
Right.
Anyway.
Wonderful, though.
Yay. It worked, guys. Hang in there.
So post that link for us for the Utah.
I'm going to try and find it right now. It's funny. It's interesting how you try to find the channel that you've subscribed to on YouTube, and all of a sudden you can't find it.
Interesting. Huh.
May I ask also a question?
Please go ahead, Eugene.
I'm going to pay my son college, and I'm going to do. I think I have to do it MOSI process as well, because I didn't apply for any federal grants or whatever. I didn't do it. I don't want to sign in to verify my income or whatever. I just want to submit myself to that process.
Is he still in college?
He didn't even start it. He's going to start it in September.
You can try to MOSI it, yeah. I mean, but don't, hold your breath. I mean, this took 3 years. So it's not a perfect science. Hopefully, Eugene, the banking thing is gonna just one of these days just gonna become available, and we'll finally have some remedy.
Well, and things are changing. You've probably heard Anna talk about the usufructuary duty of all these corporations, because they are not billing you. They are billing this entity that they created that looks like your name, but is not you. And so she's been talking about this a lot in the last week or two, maybe three, about how to reply to them that it's their usufructuary duty to hold you harmless for this corporation that they created, and that you're not liable for any bills that they send to this corporation. So it depends on what it's sent to. If it's sent to your all caps name, the kind of envelope that it's sent in, if it's a windowed envelope. But she hasn't really gotten down to brass tacks on exactly how you would deflect that, except to say that, when it comes to a court, it's a non-negotiable is the reply. And so I think other things are developing, but certainly there's a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, any other questions for Kim? Okay, well, hearing none, one piece of business I should have done earlier is to do our county roll call for the General Assembly meeting. So all those American state nationals who reside in Fairfield County, please respond.
Here.
Okay, we got two. That's good. And then all those ASNs residing in Litchfield County, please respond. Okay, seeing none there, I'll keep a note on that. And then all those American state nationals residing in Hartford County. If you've got anyone from Hartford County, I'm seeing none. And then we'll try Holland County. Any ASNs residing in Talon County? Not seeing any. Then we have New Haven County, and that would be yours truly. And then we have New London County.
Here.
And that would be John. And then we have Middlesex County.
Here.
And that would be Anita. All right. And then we have Windham County. Anyone from the Windham County? No. Okay, so we have a roll call of the counties represented. And I'm getting a little bit of background noise. So if you're not speaking, maybe you can mute. Thank you. Anyway, I was just listening recently to an Area Zero call in which Lisa Schaefer, who's been co-hosting with Nitty, the pharmacist, on the Tuesday podcast with YouTube podcast with Anna, go over her presentation and talk about how things are going in Ohio. And I don't recall the exact numbers, but she said there's something like 85 counties in Ohio compared to our 8. And they have 63 of them populated. So we can count ourselves kind of lucky that we only have 8 counties. Anyway.
Well, Ohio's not that big of a state either.
No, but when you would look at the way it's divided up, it's, all these little chunks that, probably some surveyor decided, okay, this is the way we're going to do it, Anyway, I thought that was a pretty jaw-dropping comparison. So I could go into that presentation a little bit because it was a really good presentation. I could just show some of the slides a little bit. And then they also went into outreach, and there was a lot of masterful stuff in that outreach that's definitely worth reviewing. So I thought maybe I would touch base on those a little bit and just do a little bit of that and see if people have opinions and questions about how all this works. But remember now, Ohio had some federal agent intervention maybe a year or a little over a year ago, and they were a real mess. And it's amazing how quickly things have turned around for them. And they've done it essentially with around 450, maybe a little over that, active members. Again, how active, I don't know. Lisa was saying that the typical meeting has somewhere between 60 and 80 people show up. I see your hand up, John. You want to say something?
Yeah, if I could, real quick. Did you watch the entire call? The last podcast that they did Tuesday.
Pretty sure I did. What were you thinking of?
I just wanted to make everybody aware because I know I had no clue. I guess at some point over the last week, Anna's granddaughter had gone on a school trip to Springfield, Massachusetts, and now she has come up missing.
Well, we just received.
She found alive.
Right. She was just discovered, according to the latest news from Anna.
Oh, really?
That she had spent the weekend at a friend's house, and that notification finally reached Anna. So that's good news, but it's very frustrating that it wasn't communicated better earlier.
Right.
So there was no foul play?
No foul play. It was miscommunication of some kind.
Oh my goodness.
Thank God we were all praying and wow.
Yeah, I was flabbergasted by it. I know there are some, if you've gone down the rabbit hole at any rate, talking about the dumps that are around Northeast. There is one up between Hartford and Windsor, toward the West Hartford side, I guess, somewhere. So it's not that far from Springfield, which kind of made me think that maybe she had been trafficked. But I'm just really glad to hear that she was good.
We all are. Thank God.
Yeah, absolutely. One other thing about why you are talking about outreach, we are all set for the fair up in Brooklyn, the 22nd to the 25th, I think it is, that weekend. So at some point between now and then, we have to have people volunteer to schedule to work that. I will probably not be able to work every single day like I did last year. I definitely won't be able to do Thursday, but I have to talk about it and work it out. I'd also like to try to, if at all possible, I may have jumped ahead of you a little bit here, Tom, but just for everybody to keep it in the back of their minds, I would be willing to make some extra copies of the cards that we have, because we don't have enough to give out, or even make a excuse me, a one-page flyer that we can hand out, or if anybody's got any other ideas how we can run our booth, please keep it in mind, and maybe we can have a separate call on that at some point between now and then. And with that, I'll just throw it back to you, and I'll yield.
Sure. Well, if you wouldn't mind putting in the chat, John, the dates and what you see as the kind of coverage that might be needed, morning and afternoon and evening kind of coverage that might be needed, so we have an idea what the slots are that are needed, and people can plan ahead and try and help out on that if they're so inclined. That'd be great.
All right, very good. I will do that.
So the first part of what I'm going to go through here, let me see if I can get the screen share to work, is Lisa Schaefer did this presentation, she restructured a little bit the. Let's see if I can, she restructured a little bit the. Excuse me. She restructured a little bit the government chart that you've probably all seen. Let's see here. Now, is everyone seeing the basic structure of American Government Four Pillars Committee?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good. And so let's see if this works there. Slow. There we go. All right. It is working. Anyway, so and I don't know if I can, maybe I can make this bigger. Let's see if I can. Is that a little bit easier to read now? This chart, pillars and structure of government.
No, it's still pretty
No?
small.
Still pretty small. No, maybe this would be better. Let's see. Yeah, I apologize for not thinking this through more concretely. But the main thing that I wanted to go over with this is that he was very, very repetitive on the thing that you see at the very top underneath the pillars and structure of government is we the people on land and soil living in a harmonious community. So at the top of every one of these sections is we the people. And so everything is done by we the people. This is how you end up with government by the people, for the people. I'm missing the other part. Sorry.
Of, for, and by.
Of, for, and by, yes. And so everything else flows from that. And so you see in this structure she's pointing out, how the General Assembly, the Militia Assembly, and the International Business Assembly all come from the overall General Assembly. And all the committees, the important committees, education, orientation, events, records, treasury, oversight, ombudsman, marshal at arms, vetting, general elections, IT and infrastructure, they all come from the overall group of people. And at the bottom you see that she's got her foundation is this communication, ethics, education, honor, integrity, mutual respect, teamwork, self-government, and the golden rule. In other words, these are the basic foundational concepts that we all need to operate on when we're working together as a General Assembly. And, I'll give you guys a link to the Mega Drive so that you can do that yourself. But as you see here, the founding principles of the four pillars, and she mentions that this is not just our government, this is any government. In order for a government to function, it has to have these things going on. Communication, education, mutual respect, self-government, ethics, honor, integrity, golden rule, and teamwork. And she goes into detail on each one of these. It's an excellent presentation. Let's see. What's we got here? I probably should back up a little bit and see. Yeah. So in this particular you're looking now at a Mega Drive folder here, and there's two video parts to it. And this is the first part where she goes through the whole thing, and this is the second part where they talk more about the orientation part of it. But let me just go ahead and copy this and put it into the chat for you all to check it out yourself. Let's see here. There we go. Let's go into the chat here. And, so that's the link. You all can see that. And I hope there's no block to get in. I know sometimes people have troubles getting into the Mega Drive. I did for quite a long period of time. But anyway, let's see if I can recall some of the other key points that she went through. But the thing about what she was saying is that things really started to turn around in Ohio when people started realizing that if they didn't step up and, chip in something, like some area from which they might have some skill or expertise or talent, who was going to do it? And it mainly started with committees. People were, as she brought people in, she was also doing the recording work. And as she brought people in, she would read through their stuff and suggest to them, well, maybe you'd like to be part of this committee because your experience and stuff aligns with that. And so that appeared to be helpful, but it wasn't until people actually realized that that they could take the reins themselves. And that's a process because, as is often said, the system that we're all raised in and browbeaten into is the corporate system of, who is the guy on top? Who's in charge? And so what we should all be saying is when the question arises, who's in charge, we should all be saying, what? We are. Kim is, Rebecca is, Linda is, Anita is, John is, Dave is, Eric is, Irina, Eugene. We're all in charge, right? And that's what makes it truly we the people, of the people, by the people, for the people. Anyway, so I thought that was a really good way to make the presentation. Let's see. Kim's put in this is the administrative process. Okay. On a Rumble connection there. Thank you, Kim. That was what you used, do you recall? Okay, excellent.
If I may just add, I was just going to type it.
Please. Please go ahead.
Echo. That once you look at the initial class, you'll have some repeat in the second offering there, the second class, but it is incredibly detailed. She gives all the receipts. That means proof about why she puts what things she puts, and it also includes exactly the MOSI process, which is the same. It hasn't changed, but she goes through all of that. She gives examples, and it's just excellent. You can definitely do this, guys. I yield.
Cool. So, amongst the things that Lisa Schaefer shared with us, and I'll try and get all these things for you to look at, is something that they use in the Ohio outreach, and they call it a tear-off sheet. And I'm just going to try and screen share that with you. See if I can't put a copy of it in the chat as well. Let's see. But because of Lisa Schaefer's background, is not just running a business, but also being a teacher for many years, one of the key things that she was elucidating for us in outreach is you don't want to give too much information. You want to try and stick with the questions. And so let me see if I can share this with you here. There we go. Okay. Are you seeing, are you a free American or a U.S. citizen subject?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So this is their tear off, and you can see that at the bottom they have, you know, a website link that you could type in, and she's also got the QR code here as well that you can scan that will take you right to the website. But this is what they use a lot of the times for outreach, not always, but a lot of the times. And again, it's just a series of questions, really, right, to get people thinking. That 90% of taxes are voluntary, and it gives the reference, Federal Registry, Volume 46, number 90, 1981, Rules and Regulations, page 26055. The difference between a U.S. citizen, a state national, and a state citizen. Did you know the distinction between legal and lawful? Did you know that you were born on the land and soil jurisdiction and you were then transferred to the territorial and municipal jurisdiction without full disclosure to your parents when they registered you as a United States Corp through the United States Corporation, through the state of Ohio, of course. Might be different states for us. And another question that she likes to use is, do you know when you became a U.S. citizen? That's a pretty good question. I like that one. Because most of us think that it's just natural, you know, until we learn this stuff. We just think, oh, okay, it's natural to be a U.S. citizen. So we don't even observe the foundation of how we got there, right? And then 5, do you know that when you registered to vote, you just gave away the right to self-governance? And 6, do you live in the District of Columbia, American Samoa, Guam, or American Virgin Islands? Again, so what they're saying there is if you don't live in any of those places, you wouldn't normally be a U.S. citizen or born as one. And you currently serve in the military. Again, you know, everyone who's in the military has to, by contract, be a U.S. citizen. And then, do you work for the federal government or the state of Ohio government? And then it follows that all up with, if you answered no to these questions, you could free yourself from government slavery, join the Ohio Assembly, restore your lawful government, and then the QR code, etc. But again, it's the questions. And what she's trying to emphasize, I believe, is that people will only receive what they're what they're ready to try it again. View, that's where I want to go. People will only receive the information that they're ready for. And she goes into this quite extensively, something called cognitive dissonance. If I were to ask all of you, what would you say is meant by cognitive dissonance? What would you say? Linda, what would you say? What would your take on that be?
The inability to see kind of the truth that's right in front of you. You're so hung up on the doctrine that you've been indoctrinated to that they can't even want to try and look at another view or another version.
Right. Essentially, the information that's being presented to you is so contrary to your belief system that it upsets you. It could make you physically ill. It could literally, knock you off your socks. And so, as a defense mechanism, the body will, as Eddie Murphy did in that movie, la 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 la. I'm not hearing you. Right. Anything to stop. I don't want to hear it. But anyway, so the point that she was making for us is that if you give too much information, which is only natural because we're trying to figure it out ourselves, and once we figure it out, we want to share it, right? Because all of a sudden we have this great key. I have the key to unlock the Citadel, or whatever, right? Anyway, so we turn into this fire hose of information and just blasting all this stuff at people, but they're not ready for it. Most of them, and occasionally someone is, but they're not ready for it. So she works on the whole idea of a little bit at a time, and she cites the example of she's with a small group of ladies who all summer on this one particular island. I guess it would be in the Great Lakes near Ohio. I don't know the name of the island. But anyway, somehow the subject came up that she was teaching this class later on. And she said, yeah, I've got a class. And then someone said, well, what kind of class is it? And then she said, well, it's a class on the history of our government. And and that led to other questions, right? But she only answered she didn't, go on and on. She just answered that one question. And so each time it was an open invitation that people could say, oh, that's interesting, and then move on, or they could, later on come back, you said you're doing this class on history. What kind of history, or whatever, right? Anyway, the point being is that that's how people learn best, because they're open to receiving. And our presumption that they want to know everything that we have to say, well, I think we've all experienced it. It's not always the case. In fact, most of the time it's not the case at all. Has anyone had any experience like that where people shut down and didn't want to listen to you? That ever happened to you? I see Kim nodding her head. What happened, Kim?
I mean, it happens all the time. Even, just recently, I mean, they weren't listening to me talk. They're, what's big lately on YouTube is like reaction videos. Everybody's a reactor. Everybody's looking at things and reacting. So this guy I was watching, his name is Polo, and he was reacting to old rock bands, that I love, listening to the songs for the first time, and having these awesome reactions, and it was great. It was so great. It's better than TV. I can't stand TV anymore. So then he does this reaction on an American State National getting pulled over and arrested. Mm-hmm. And they ripped the guy up. Like, they were so bullying, through video format. he was live reacting to the video of this guy that's being stopped, and the things that we study, and saying the things that we say, and trying to be a free man. And this reactor and all his comments under his reaction were like ripping the guy apart who got pulled over. And I was like, I was blown away by their cognitive dissonance, that they were all like, how dare he, that the cop was in the right, and they just didn't know what they were talking about, and they were so against this man's stance, even though they had no idea what it was about. Like, they had no idea what he was doing or why he was doing it, but they were ripping him up like it was like Dawn of the Living Dead to me. I was just like so upset, and it was only me and another couple of comments that defended the position of freedom and how ignorant these people were talking, and how everybody, without getting into it in a conversation on a YouTube video, but trying to, I dropped the TASA website and Audubon Rights website, and I was like, y'all need an education. You're just talking like a bunch of schoolyard bullies who don't even know what you don't know. Good luck to you. But it's upsetting, and conversations all the time that I try, and people make comments all the time because they think they're waking up, but they're just still laying in bed with their eyes open going, something's not right. And it's like, yeah, and did you know this, and did you know that? And then they go, whoa, and they kind of pull back, So I just kind of go, here's my card. When you want to talk, let me know. Got to leave them alone after that. It's true. It's hard not to. It's hard not to just bleh all over people and just go, because we're excited that we actually have a handle on this now, and it takes a while. So then you want to share it with everybody. I yield.
Yeah, thank you. And especially, because we're so fear programmed, as you were mentioning earlier, it's hard to get to the point where you're confident enough to speak about it. And then when you are confident enough to speak about it, you find out nobody wants to listen to you. But anyway, there's a couple more things. There was, let's see, I have I have the flyer trifold brochure that they use, printed on both sides, 4-color, and then I'll go through that basic structure, 4 pillars, a little bit more thoroughly. I found the good slide of it. But first we'll look at this trifold. So let me share on that. And now let's see, how do I make this a full screen? Does anyone remember how to do that? One page within the window.
You can X out the side toolbar. That'll on the left.
Oh, on the left, yes. So that's pretty good there. Is that about? That's maybe about as good as I'm going to get. Anyway, so this is the trifold here, and I believe they have it printed on both sides. So this would be the back side here, and this is the front side. So again, they have the QR code that brings you to their website, and I also have a QR code to bring you to the TASA site. And again, the questions, tired of tyranny, IRS, GOP. Not quite sure what that one is. Anyone know what that is?
That's a mask.
Oh, mask. Oh, yeah, of course. I didn't recognize it.
I did because it's
something you were forced to wear?
No, something I refused to wear.
Almost cost you your job. Yeah. And so I'll just read through here. I mean, it's pretty good stuff. The lawful government of the people, by the people and for the people of all 50 states of America is now in session for the first time in 150 plus years since the Civil War. All Americans need to finally wake up and declare their choice of political status as a free American state national before it's too late. Please do not allow apathy and or lack of knowledge to enslave you any longer. Unless you live in Washington, D.C., work for the federal government, or are a member of the military, you are not a U.S. citizen. U.S. citizens who have not chosen to correct their political status to that of American state nationals have no lawful constitutional guarantees or protections. Your continued neglect to declare your political status puts your family's property and future well-being into a perpetual danger zone. The Ohio Assembly has been lawfully assembled with living men and women who have properly declared their political status as Americans. We are all peaceably here to self-govern as originally intended. We are the lawful government of the people, by the people, and for the people of Ohio. Please contact us to learn how to correct your political status and participate in the self-governance responsibilities required to guarantee your freedoms. Good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then here's the back side. And it's obviously giving our civilian peacetime flag. Again, more questions. Did you know the United States Incorporated is a for-profit corporation? And it lists in the code, 28 U.S.C. 3002-15, the state of Ohio Incorporated is a for-profit corporation. Check for yourself on Dun & Bradstreet website. Clearly, these corporations are not lawful governments. They are de facto private entities who have overstepped their delegated authorities while also ignoring most public laws. These corporations were only granted specific duties which they have never fulfilled honorably. They have gone bankrupt so many times, it's criminal. To fix these critical issues, quote, we the people, unquote, need to finish reconstructing our lawful government at all levels. Accomplishing this can only be done by status-corrected Americans who will enforce all three constitutions. And then it goes on about the flag. The flag you've known your whole life is a war flag. We, the people, fly this flag because we are at peace. We are not at war with anyone or anything, especially not any coronavirus. Reclaim your peace, reclaim your freedom, reclaim your political status, reclaim your life. The choice to declare your political status is up to you to decide. What is your decision going to be? And then the last panel. If you were born on an American state, you were born as an American state national, not a U.S. citizen. If you were not born on an American state but have lived here for 7 years peacefully without welfare assistance, you can become an American state national. The birth certificate is evidence of a crime against you. It was used to unlawfully convert you from an American state national into a debt slave of the U.S. Inc. None of the following are required for American state nationals or citizens: any income tax or property tax, vaccinations, mask wearing, and other forced medical procedures, public debt, mortgages, loans, utilities, insurance. We, the people, quote unquote, are the priority creditors of all the incorporated debt. And at the very bottom, finishes up with, we need critical thinking, quote unquote, can-do people to choose and declare their political status as an American state national or American state citizen, and to actively participate in the reconstruction of our lawful government. This is simply what's needed for self-governance to be successful over the tyranny. You are the one you have been waiting for. So again, that's pretty good. Any comments or questions about it?
I mean, I think it's good. You know, you can only give so much information, so I think it's just enough to not overwhelm people, but also grab their attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other comments?
If I may, is there another side to this? Because I did happen to get booted off. I had to reconnect.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed it. I went through the first side.
Okay. All right. No, I
which
thought
is
there
now,
was, but yeah, something
right.
like that is what I was referring to when I was talking about handouts.
Right.
If we could have those kind of things printed up. And
Well,
I
we
also
probably
have
could.
those
Sorry, go ahead.
those cards that we used last time.
Right.
I'll have to reprint new ones of these because I don't have enough of these to hand out that we have left over.
Well, I'll talk to Eleanor, and possibly we can get her to rework this a little bit so it's appropriate for our Connecticut Assembly. Kim, are you holding up one that's printed for Ohio, or is that for us?
No, this is ours, and so maybe what we can do is, you know, Elle has this obviously 'cause she created it, so maybe we can have her. I really like that back, the first far
This
left.
one?
The other page you just had.
Okay,
On the far left, I love everything said under that far left column. So maybe she could just tweak ours a little bit, because I haven't read this in a while, and it might be close to what the other stuff is there. Maybe because we have a QR code too. And so maybe she can just, you know, maybe she and I can have a meeting. I don't know.
That'd be great. Yeah, if you could do that. Did you download these links so you have the
yes.
stuff? All right. Well, I'll try and share it in chat now.
Okay.
Or maybe before we're done. Anyone else want to comment?
No, I mean, I agree. I think it's great. And this is probably the ideal thing to have at the fair. Easy to misplace a card and a business card, you know.
Yeah, business cards are out.
Open it up and read it, and the website's on the back, so.
I think if we just stand in front of the table this time and maybe just have our website on a laptop there, and like anybody that shows any remote interest, just say, hey, just, you know, our website is amazing, check it out, and blah, 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 and this is how you go here and there, and just kind of quickly just show them how to navigate it, and like just shove these in everybody's hand. And have our flash.
I'm going to strongly recommend that each one of us who does man the booth watch this video on orientation, because it is excellent, very, very well done, and it gives us a thorough understanding of how to effectively communicate. And anyway, I probably, maybe in the next open forum meeting, I'll go through a little bit more, take some good notes and go through a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I was so glad that you attended, and this is great. I was looking for the link. I was going to ask. So that's great. Thank you.
Did you try the Mega Link? Did it work for you?
I didn't try it, but I have it open there. So I just grabbed it and left it open. That'll be my homework.
I tried it.
It did work? Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, good.
So I'm going to switch over to the 4 pillars presentation here, and I touched on it earlier. I'm sorry I should have had this up because this is the better way to look at it. So I showed you this slide, and she was constantly emphasizing how the people is always at the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's always at the top, and that it's the committees that do all the work, right? The juror and the militia and the international business and the General Assembly are really there just to decide, but it's in the committees is where the research and the questions are batted around and arrived at, and it's only in the General Assembly or in the other lesser assemblies where things may be brought forward, but it's the General Assembly where things are decided. So it's always the people who are deciding, right? And then we went through this founding principles of the 4 pillars of government: communication, education, the golden rule, of course, being super important. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And then she goes into more detail on the pillars. I'm just trying to remember. Oh yeah, here we go. So then she goes into the various roles of the General Assembly, the important roles of these committees that are doing most of the work. And general education and orientation are definitely at the top. And that's one of the things where she was saying that every day of the week there's some kind of meeting going on. They have a lot of meetings. They just recently had a big event. They had 80 people at this guy's farm, and then more people showed up later on, and they went on for another couple hours. So it's these committees in which the real nitty-gritty of self-governing comes down and develops. And so that's why it's important to get people plugged in to a committee and contributing with their unique talents to try and drive everything forward. And then this is a kind of interesting little chart here, but what she's pointing out is how the committees themselves are all really interacting with each other, and they can't really act completely independent of each other. They're requiring information and expertise from each other to help them develop their ideas and develop the important things that the General Assembly wants to move forward, that people are inspired to work on. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then the process. I thought this was really good to understand how our government actually works. So you can see that at the very bottom of this is the drawing board idea. So you or I will be doing something, we'll read something, and we'll, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea if we did something about the chemtrail spraying? And so we have the idea of writing up a letter, and so then there was a group of people who formed a little committee and worked on that letter, and then once everyone was happy with it, right, it could have been rejected. It could have been, people say, well, that's not quite really what we want, and then it probably needed to have some kind of jural input because we need to know if the language is correct and if it would be effective. And then once it was approved there, it could actually go to General Assembly, and the people could read it there and say, well, wouldn't it be great if it really said this or added that, right? Like in the book I'm reading currently, it's just a masterful book about this whole geoengineering. He's explaining how utility companies have a derivatives market on the weather, the temperature that is actually any area is day by day. And so they have this, it was started with Enron, which would have been late 80s, early 90s, and has continued. But basically, they're incentivized to change the weather a little bit to make some money on it, in addition to changing whether they have to produce more electricity or more coal or whatever it is, right? But it's just astonishing the level to which this craziness has gone on. Anyway, I've gotten off track. Sorry, but you get the general idea here. This is the process of how our government works, and then once it's approved by the General Assembly, the idea is actually implemented, and that's what happened with us. We sent out our letter on geoengineering to the governor, the Secretary of State, and I forget who else. But anyway,
17 letters went out. I can't remember where they all went, but you're right.
Yeah. But you know, I think this is extremely helpful for people to understand, especially when you first find out that your real government's not a democracy, and you're going, well, what the hell is it, and what do they mean by Republican government? I think this does an excellent job in explaining kind of the nitty-gritty or the bones of it. Because it's in this process that the ideas are brought forward, and you know, once we're repopulated on all our counties, this will be happening on a county level and then going to a state level, and then from a state level it would go to a continental Congress. But that's how it would work. So it would be truly government by the people for the people, of the people by the people for the people. And so then the officers and officials of the General Assembly, she's just going through the main roles required and emphasizing how the chairman is just a presenter, and the committee chairs are just presenters. They don't actually make the decisions. They're echoing the consensus of the whole committee. That's their job, right? Unlike the corporate structure where there's one guy at the top calling the shots, you know. And then it goes through in more detail the General Assembly, the Militia Assembly, and the International Business Assembly, so you get to understand each one of these pillars underneath, the various roles that are important and the things they cover. And again, you know, I won't spend a whole lot of time here, probably getting late, probably everyone's tired. But I'll share this whole document with everyone so they can look through it. Against the militia and how the militia means people. Militia means people. Mm-hmm. And again, it's about self-governing first. And she explained how the active roles are generally taken by people in the 45 to 65 range, but older people have many ways that they can help, and of course it's education and stuff. But you can see here, you know, all the different things that it's trying to cover, and the links that need to be set up to make all that work. And then the last would be the International Business Assembly. And again, it's a citizen-only committee because the each one of these members of this International Business Committee have to be squeaky clean in that they can't have allegiance to any other government or any other corporation, and that's why it's citizen only. In other words, a citizen, an American state citizen, has a fiduciary responsibility, a prudent man standard, and is required to act in the best interests of the people that have been so gracious as to trust him or her in his role or her role. Anyway, and that's the whole thing there. If anyone has any questions, I can try and field them, but I'm going to try and put the links in for everyone for the two things I just showed you here. The other link to the Mega Drive should get you the presentations that I was referencing. Any questions?
Yeah, will that be on the Mega Drive? I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Dave. Couldn't quite hear you.
Will that be on the Mega Drive that's at the Connecticut Assembly, where it's accessible at Connecticut Assembly?
I haven't put it on yet, but well, it's the Mega Drive is something that's used by a lot of the state assemblies, and the link I'm talking about is to the Ohio Assembly Mega Drive.
Got it. Thank you.
So I might be able to copy and transfer it. It's not something I'm not the tech wizard. I probably ought to be.
No need to. I just was curious what you were referring to. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, Eugene is looking for it. So I'll put the links back in. Let's see here. So once again, that's the Mega Drive folder for the presentations. Hopefully everyone can capture that. Eugene said he missed it, so in there again. And then let me see if I can get the presentations and the tear-offs. Let's see if I can get a copy of that. Copy. No, I didn't think that was going to work. All right, so I'm going to have to email these. Not letting me put these folders in these particular documents in the chat. I'll try one more time, but it seems to be working. Look at that. Yeah, it's not going in. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I can attach it. Here, let's see if I can do that. Okay. Anyway, so I think that's pretty much everything we needed to go over. Did anyone have any new business that they were interested in talking about? Okay, so that's the presentation folder there in the chat. Let me see if I can get the trifold in there for everyone to look at. It's the trifold. And then the tear off. Okay. So I realize this is probably, yeah, it's pretty late. It's almost 9 o'clock, huh? But anyway, so please take the time to save those. I think you can save the chat.
I
I'm
don't
just trying to
see
remember.
I don't see them.
You don't see them. I mean, you need to enter them.
Well, I'm on the chat, but I don't see anything.
There. Okay, I just hit enter. That was what I failed to
there
do.
we go. Yeah. Okay. So
Sorry.
how do we? I don't know how to save the chat. This is
right click. And
right
save
click. I'm on an iPad. Does that matter?
I'm on an iMac, but you might be.
You hover to the right of the chat, and 3 little dots will show up. And
Go to in the chat, or the 3
you
dots?
hover on the very right side of the chat, and 3 little gray dots will pop up, and there's a menu, and copy is the second item.
On the bottom of the when you're on the chat.
No.
On the bottom?
To the right
To the side
of the chat.
To the right side of the chat.
I see a little smiley face.
Like go to one of the blue messages and hover to the right side of it. Three little gray dots should show up.
Mm-mm.
Can you just hold your finger on it and have it a contextual menu pop up?
Copy?
You click on the 3 dots and a menu pops up.
Copy.
I don't see dots.
You said you're not on your computer though.
No, I'm on an iPad.
Maybe it works different.
If I touch the link, I get a copy. Should I just copy it?
Go copy it and see if you can.
Right.
It says copy. So that you have to kind of do one at a time, apparently.
The PDF.
But let me know if you need me to forward you the information on an email. I can certainly do that.
Yeah, I'm just going to copy the links, and then God knows where they're going to go.
Well, that's the thing. The PDFs will open if you select the iBooks. Your PDFs will open in iBooks. I don't know where the Word document will open.
Oh, it'll open. It's just that once I've now copied them, I don't know where to find them.
Well, in the PDFs, you can have it open in iBooks, and it will always live in iBooks.
Oh, on the iPad?
Yeah.
All right, I'll fiddle around with it. If I can somehow, it could be in File.